Hi everyone, it's Karen. I'm going to do a really nice practice for your hips today, so definitely going to give you a lot of love for the hips. If they're feeling tight, they're not going to for long. We're going to start with a little bit of centered breath work though, and just kind of calming down relaxation before we move into the practice. So find a comfortable place to sit, and I'm actually sitting up on a yoga block. You don't need any props today, but if you have one yoga block, it is nice to add in for a couple of stretches at the very end of the practice, and it might be nice to just have as a kind of a perch to sit on while you open the hips for the beginning breath work too. So your choice. If you have a block, you can grab it. Otherwise, any comfortable seat is fine. So to start with, I'm going to elevate my pelvis up on the block, but then just kind of drop my knees to either side. And the advantage of sitting up on the block, of course, is that if your hips or pelvis are tight, you can allow the knees to descend lower than your hip creases and really start to open them in a passive way that feels really nice. So again, finding that comfortable spot to begin. Drop your hands onto your knees or your thighs. Let's roll the shoulders back a couple of times. And then start to settle. So finding that place of stillness and closing your eyes softly. And with the eyes closed, start to feel more into what's happening in your body. Sensing. Is there anything that feels a little uncomfortable still? So maybe my chin's dropping too far forward or back. Maybe my fingertips need to move or stretch a little bit before they can relax. And just checking in so that you know you're really in the most comfortable spot you can be without any distraction to begin. On your next inhale, make it as big and full an inhale as you can, rising the chest a little taller with the breath in. And exhale, let your chest fall, let your belly go. Inhale, big breath in, sitting up tall. Exhale, let the belly go, permission to get fat. And one more time, inhale, tall breath, tall spine. And keep the lift of the spine, but soften the shoulders as you let that breath go. And then just check in with how your spine feels. So you should feel a really nice natural curve in your low back in your seated posture. And if you feel like you're kind of rounding the shoulders forward and pushing your low back out, or if the opposite's happening and you're feeling too much of an arch, nod your pelvis forward and back a couple of times until you feel that you're in a neutral spine with that really soft curve of your low back in place. And then just deepening your inhales, expand through the sides of the waist and ribs and even into the back of the waist with your inhale breath. Get really full around your middle, like a big circle. And keeping your lips sealed, exhale, let the breath go. And again, one more time, deep breath in, filling up the spaces of your inner body. And exhale softly, gently letting it go. And then just continue to let the breathing happen at a natural rhythm and start to focus more on how the other body parts feel. So relaxing your toes, and relaxing it across the backs of the calves, the fronts of the shins into the knees. Letting the upper legs relax all the way up towards the hips, deepening the seat of your posture. Noticing if you're still gripping around the hip creases, the thighs, relax that, let it go. What does it feel like to just let go? To stop holding on so tight to what we don't need. Relax your belly. Feel a softening across the chest and the shoulders. Feel a heaviness to the shoulders, but a lightness, like a buoyancy to the top crown of your head. And then relax all of the muscles of your face so there's no expression on your face. Your lips, your cheeks, your jaw are relaxed. Your forehead and the brows are soft. The eyelids are heavy. On your next inhale, get very full on your breath, and on your exhale, double your relaxation. And think for a moment about what brought you to your yoga mat today. What is your intention? What do you need from the practice today? Whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, what do you need from the practice today? On the inhale, lift the arms, make it a little more active. Arms reach up really tall, seal your palms to touch, look up to your thumbs. Exhale, bring that energy between your hands right down to your heart center. Settling here for just a breath. Grateful for these moments to practice together. All right, come onto your hands and knees, and we'll start to move through cat and cow. So as you come onto the hands and knees today, turn your fingertips all the way out to the sides of the mat. So I'm going to give you a lot of wrist stretches today. There's almost no poses on the hands today, so we're really going to stretch through the hands and wrists and give them a nice break from the action that we often get in yoga on a down dog heavy practice. And we're also going to stretch around the hips as talked about. So start with point your toes way back, like you're really stretching back through your big toes, and pressing the tops of your ankles and feet to the mat really strong. With your hands turned all the way out, so your middle fingers point towards left and right, east and west on your mat. Drop your belly, flip your tailbone up, sink the chest, and widen across your collarbones. We're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. So I really want you to feel like you're squeezing your two upper shoulder blades together on your back, and then feeling a little compression, a little squeeze, even into your low back. So it shouldn't hurt. It should be a release. As the belly drops, the front ribs get wider. Roll the shoulders back a little more, grabbing the mat with your fingertips. And then let's take it in the opposite direction. So now finding your cat pose, push the ground away really strong. And as you do that, feel more space created across your whole back body. So your tailbone's trying to tuck under. You feel more space across your back waist. You feel more space between the two shoulder blades as they slide away from the center of your spine. And then gently curl your chin into your chest, so you're just relaxing the head and breathing deeply even across the back of your neck. So it should feel really good. And if you want to add any movements here to the side of the body, we'll give it a little stretch in a couple minutes. But for now, you can add a little wiggle, a little wag. All right, one more time, dropping into your cow pose. Slide the collarbones wider apart, opening the chest. Drop the belly, drop the rib cage. Keep pressing back through the tops of the feet, big toes reaching back, and hugging those two shoulder blades together on your back again. And one more time into cat. Push through the fingertips, push the ground away. Breathe across the back of the neck, back of the shoulder blades, like you're really trying to open up the space of the back shoulder blades. And you feel your chest get a little more compressed or collapsed. That's okay. We're opening one side of the body at a time. All right, and come on back to neutral tabletop. All right, we're going to change the direction of your hands. So now you're going to turn your hands over so fingertips are pointing back towards my knees and my palms are facing up. And this should be a really nice stretch. So I have a little wrist, I don't know, angry or cranky or injury or something going on in one of my wrists right now. So I've been doing a lot of this lately, just trying to get that nice flexion in my wrists and take them the opposite direction. And then start to move your knees a little further forward towards your fingertips. Keep stretching and widening your fingers apart from each other and grounding the tops of your hands into the yoga mat and your fingernails too. And then we're going to sit back on the heels and lift the hands, but we're going to keep them in exactly this shape. So you're going to lift your hands, keep them in flexion, so curling in towards your body. Fingertips can point towards you now, or towards each other. And then keep the arms really active. So straighten your elbows as much as you can. Pull your palms towards your chest. Keep stretching your fingers apart and hold steady. And by the way, keep hugging your ankles in too, so you have that solid base of foundation under your sit bones. You should feel a really nice stretch to the fronts of the ankles and shins. And if your feet cramp, it's normal. It's no big deal. We're going to keep holding here for just a couple more breaths. You should feel a nice widening across your back body, still like your upper back shoulder blades are moving apart from each other, just like they did when we were on our hands and knees. All right, and then shake it all out. Whew, kind of intense. All right, we're going to come back onto the hands and knees. This time you're going to take your fingertips and turn them back with the palms down, but still facing fingertips towards your knees. So this is a really nice stretch through the inner wrist, carpal tunnel, all the way up to the forearms. So once more, spread your fingers wide apart, push down through your fingertips. Just try to straighten the elbows as much as you can. And then start to lean a little more weight into your fingertips. So grounding down through that heel of your hand, the back of the wrist, And as you move the weight into the fingertips, you should start to deepen that stretch all the way through the inner forearms. And then once more, you're going to nudge your knees in a little closer. We're going to change it up. Tuck your toes under this time, really curling all 10 toes into the yoga mat. Keep hugging those ankles towards each other so they're not dropping. And then sit your hips onto your heels. So now you're stretching the feet. Soles of the feet need some love too. And it might be intense, but I want you to breathe more deeply if you're feeling like it's a lot. Send the breath where it needs to release, relax, let go. All right, and same thing as we did before. Now we're going to drop the weight of our sit bones onto our heels. Keep the hands in that same position. Push them forward. Keep stretching, stretching, stretching. This is like some weird Halloween hands or something. Keep pulling your fingertips back towards your arms, your armpits. Push through the heels of your hands. Spread your fingers really wide. I know your arms are probably shaking a little bit. Mine are too. This is work. Holding steady for 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, give them a shake. Drop yourself down onto your elbows and walk your knees and feet back so your belly and hips rest on the yoga mat. So we're going to do a little bit of work in Locust Pose, which is a back bend. I don't want you to think of it so much as a back bend as back body engagement. So the whole back body is working when we're in Locust, from the tops of the feet as we point the toes through the calves into the backs of the legs. So as you squeeze your butt, you should feel your hamstrings also engage. And then that same sensation of the upper back, the shoulder blades pulling in towards each other to lift and open the chest, the shoulders roll back. So let's get into it. Walk your toes back a little bit so you feel really a nice connection of the tops of the feet and ankles to the yoga mat. Drop your chest. Take your arms back and with your palms up, let your arms just rest at your sides. And then start by pushing your pubic bone down. Feel your belly and navel lift. And then start to roll the shoulders back, squeezing those shoulder blades together on your back body really strong. Then lift the legs. And remember what I said about pointing the toes. So as you point the toes, you should feel the calf muscles working. And then let's lift the arms, squeeze and work the backs of the arms. So my palms are facing straight up towards the sky. Stretch back through your fingers and really feel your tricep muscles working. Squeeze your butt. Squeeze all the muscles of your back body. But keep the back of the neck really long. So there's not a chin tilting up here. I'm just looking straight forward past the tip of my nose. I know you're holding strong. Keep with me for 3. Maybe lift a little higher, 2. Last breath, 1. Release. Don't collapse, just release. All right, bring the elbows down to the mat. And then we're going to come into Sphinx to start. So with the elbows straight under the shoulders, walk them back, spread your fingers wide. Grab the mat with your hands. Now we're going to tuck the toes and come into a forearm plank. So we just engage the whole back body. By coming into forearm plank, we're going to engage the whole front body. So tuck all 10 toes under again. One more time, lift your belly, lift your navel. You'll feel it lift away from the mat. My mat's slipping here. You're going to feel it lift away from the mat, and then lift the knees. Push back through your heels, squeeze your calves, lift your belly, open your chest, and squeeze the whole front body. So think of lifting your belly button into your spine, and think of pulling your waist forward towards your thumbs. And we're just going to hold steady for 5. Steady breath. 3, squeeze your belly tight. For 2. And for 1, lower your knees. We're going to come back into a child's pose. So press your hands down, roll yourself back into a child's pose. Sit your hips to your heels. Walk your hands really far forward and get as much length as you can from your fingertips to your waist now. As you press down through your fingertips, your palms and your wrists and your elbows should be up off the mat. So my arms are almost like a downward dog. I'm just really pushing down through my fingertips and palms, but engaging, lifting the arms. And then wrap your elbows sort of towards one another. You should feel that widening through your shoulder blades across your upper back. And send a deep breath all the way down into your hips. Now your outer hips should be feeling a little love. All right, easy side stretch. Walk your 2 hands over to the right, off the edge of the mat. Walk your left fingertips a little further forward. And then sink left heel and sit bone together. Big breath across your left waist. It should feel delicious. And then move the arms to the other side. Hands to the left. Start to move those right fingertips a little further away from you, creating more length. Deep stretch, deep breath. All right, coming back to center. So because I have some wrist stuff going on, I'm not doing downward facing dog today, but I'm going to invite you to move into downward dog if it works for you today and hang out there. Otherwise, you can walk your hands back to your feet and hang out with me in a shorter down dog. Fingertips on the mat, feet at least hips distance apart, and just drop your chest. So if you're in a downward dog instead, it's fine. If you're meeting me here in this lazy forward fold, it's all good. Shake your head out. Relax your neck. Relax your jaw. And relax your belly for a couple breaths. Really take deeper breaths in and out here. And fill up the space of your inner body with your inhales. All right, if you're in a down dog, please walk your hands back to your feet and meet us here in this forward fold. And as you come into this fold, you're going to send a lot of weight into the toes and then the heels, just kind of rocking back and forth. And at a point here, you'll find center. So where does it feel like there's an equal amount of weight through the left and right sides, inner and outer feet, and front to back of the foot? All right, a little more engagement. Push down through your feet. Start to straighten your legs just a little. I don't want you to lock your knee joints, but I do want you to start to activate the legs. Walk your hands forward up onto your fingertips. So very lightly pressing through fingertips. Now start to lift your back tailbone a little higher. A little more weight into the legs, a little more engagement. Walk your fingertips back a little closer to your feet. Again, squeeze and lift the legs by squeezing those front legs, those quadriceps. You should feel a nice lengthening in the hamstrings. And finally, walking fingertips all the way back. They might come just in front of your big toes. They might come in line with your pinky toes, depending on the openness of the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, or they can come to the shins. But let's find a flat back shape. So lengthen your chest forward. One more time, squeeze your shoulder blades together in your back and open your chest with that. Shoulders roll back, back of the neck is long, and there's an equal amount of weight forward and back in my toes and heels. All right, bring your two hands to your hips. Keep that engagement of the belly lifting, working the back body as you lift all the way up to stand. Come to the top of your yoga mat. And finding your mountain pose, Tadasana, just bring your hands to prayer. Drop your thumbs to your chest. A little wardrobe adjustment if you need. All right, roll the shoulders back. Lift the heart, soften the shoulders, and lift the top of the head a little taller. On an inhale, arms reach high. And on an exhale, just bring your hands to your heart. Stay standing tall. Twice more. Inhaling, arms reaching, lifting tall. Stretch up through your fingernails even. Keep that lift as you exhale softly, drawing the thumbs to the heart space. And one more time. Inhale, we reach. This time we're going to sit into chair. Bring your hands to prayer. I want your focus to be mostly on what's happening in your lower body today. So really bringing your hips down into a seated shape and sliding your tailbone back a lot. Find the engagement of your legs like you're trying to squeeze your two shins further apart from each other and hang out here. And if you want to add the arms today, you can. I'm just going to take them out of the equation today and just keep hands in prayer. And then shift your weight a little further forward into your toes. So your knees should actually shift forward. You should feel your seat shift forward a little bit. Your butt sliding forward. Your quads should be working a little bit harder this way, which is the goal. I want you to use the strength of your legs today for 3 and 2 and 1. Fold forward, straighten the legs. Step your left leg back just enough that you can lower your left knee down and come into a low lunge. So keeping kind of a 90-degree angle shape in the legs today. So we're not taking that really deep lunge today. We're finding more of a 90-degree shape with the legs. Press your two hands to your right thigh. Again, stretch back through your left toes. And then lift your chest taller by pressing down through your hands. So let that kind of lengthen your spine up. And then start to hug your tailbone down more, and you should feel a great squeeze in your front left thigh, really starting to pull up through even your hip flexors. And soften your shoulders and your breath. And let all the sensation really be about what's happening in that left front thigh up into the hip flexor. Let your pelvis get heavier, but your chest get taller. And then for those of you who absolutely love a deep lunge, I invite you to go a little bit further. Now you can start to walk your front foot further forward, drop your tailbone a little bit more, and deepen that angle between the two knees. And again, use your hands to press down to lift your chest taller. Keep lifting your belly. And soften everything else. And how does it feel in that front left leg and hip? Let that be the dominant sensation you're interested in. All right, we're going to move into a lizard pose. So 2 hands down to the mat, or if you have a block, if you need to use it to give yourself a little lift away from the floor, your 2 hands can come to your block. But move that right foot all the way out until the right heel is on the mat, the toes are off the edge. And then we're going to hang out here. So again, hands to a block, hands to the mat. If you have super open hips, you might bring it all the way down to the elbows. I'm not going there today. I'm just going to stay right here. And then feel again your tailbone kind of nudging forward, and watch your back ankle. So there's a tendency for that left ankle to want to drop into the pinky toe side. See if you can stretch more back through your left big toe. Keep actively working the back foot all the way to the length of the toe. And then we're just breathing into that right outer hip, hamstring area. And I'm going to invite you to come deeper with me unless it doesn't feel good for you. So if this is enough for you, or if you have knees that don't like half pigeon pose, stay right here. If you're moving into pigeon with me, you're going to wiggle that right foot back into center, and then we're going to take it over to the left till we bring the right shin down to the mat and into pigeon. And then just take a moment to kind of settle into your shape where you feel your pelvis is right in center between left and right sides. We don't want to twist the low back by being off center here. And then again, using either a block or elbows to the mat. Some of you might bring your chest all the way to the floor. So as you settle in a little deeper, and again, if you're still in lizard, totally cool, but if you're down here on the mat, hug that right hip crease back a little bit and feel like someone is gently nudging your left hip crease forward, and let that deepen your stretch. Take another steady breath. All right, we're going to meet back in our lunge. So, however you're getting there. And for just a transition pose, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath, walk your hands back. And this time I want you to stretch your spine. So hang really heavy, bend your knees a little bit, and then let your head and hands drop heavy, heavy, heavy as you roll up through your back body, stretching your spine and your back muscles on the way up. All right, back to the top of the mat. Back into your chair pose. So feet hips distance apart. And again, you can bring the hands just to prayer today. If you're not taking the arm extension, it's totally fine. Be more interested in what's happening in the lower body. Slide your hips back. Sit deep into your chair. Lift your belly, lift your heart, and then start to move weight further forward into your toes. Squeeze your thighs. Think of hugging your shins apart from each other, left and right, east to west. Couple more breaths, nice and strong. And exhale, forward fold. All right, this time step your right foot back, just enough to drop that right knee down. Find your low lunge. And remember, we're starting at that 90-degree angle. Hands to your front knee or thigh, and let that lift your chest a little taller. So as soon as you do that, you should feel a lift through your whole front right quadricep and into your hip flexor. So it's like pulling up. It's like your tailbone wants to wrap down and the front body wants to lift up. Keep stretching back through your right big toe so that ankle stays connected to what's happening in the back leg. And then if you want to go a little deeper in your lunge, if it feels good to take the front foot further forward, go for it. Drop the pelvis. So just watch here that you're not dumping into your low back, pushing your hips forward. There's still a sensation of pulling my tailbone forward and tucking, even as I drop deeper in and take the 2 knees further apart. And just a couple more breaths. Drop your shoulders, lift your heart. Okay, into our lizard pose. Take the 2 hands. Walk the left foot out till the ball of the foot's off the edge of the mat. Keep pushing back through your right big toe now. And then find your lizard. So either on hands, elbows, block, anything else that works in between. Be more interested in how it feels than how it looks. So am I supposed to have my elbows down? Am I supposed to have my hands on the mat? There's no supposed to. You're supposed to feel your body and give it everything that it needs to feel healthy and alive and spacious and happy. All right, so those of you staying in lizard, you can hang out here longer. You can maybe fold deeper. Those of you that are coming into pigeon with me, you're going to take that left foot, move it through center, all the way to the right, until you can bring shin down to the mat. And then finding again that place where the pelvis is centered, not leaning to the left. Stretch back through your right big toe. And exhale. And then pull that left hip crease back, the right one nudges forward just a little bit more for a few more breaths. And then you can either be, of course, on your palms, your elbows, or laying all the way down to the mat. Sleeping your pigeon. All right, we're going to meet back in our lunge, so carefully pressing your two hands down. And moving left foot back to center, stepping back to downward facing dog just for a transition, unless it doesn't work for you. Walk the two hands back to the feet. One more time, roll up slow. Stretch your back body out on the way. Okay, just a couple of standing poses, and then we're going to take it back down to the mat. So coming into your standing poses today, we're going to start with feet really wide. And then just check in that toes and heels are in the same plane along your yoga mat. Let's start with the right leg turned out. So right from that hip crease, flip your right leg forward, kick your left heel back. Bend into your right leg. And you might be able to get your thigh parallel to the ground. And if you're really working hard into the legs today, I'd love to see that for you. And then feel your back leg anchor. So really strong back leg wants to pull back and then lift the spine taller. Take your arms, stretch them wide, and it's that same sensation we had before of kind of hugging the two shoulder blades on the back body to open the chest a little wider. Wiggle your fingertips, let them be soft. For 3, 2. All right, slide your forearm onto your right thigh. Take your left arm, circle it up overhead, bend a little deeper now into that right leg, so we're coming into our side angle pose. If you need to use a little more support in the shape, of course, you can bring your right hand down to a block or to the floor. And just really pressing back through the back leg. So the more the front leg wants to nudge to the right and get deeper, the more the back leg wants to anchor and resist to support you. Then stretch taller up through your front fingertips. Hug that right shoulder back onto the back by spinning your left pinky finger in towards your nose. All right, circle back, stand tall. We're just going to pivot direction on the mat. So left leg turns out right from the hip, right heel swings back a little bit. Find your warrior 2. So take a moment to bend into the front leg. And then just check in. Can I get lower? Can I get deeper? Am I really working the legs? And be honest. And then let the back leg do the work of strengthening, supporting, and stretch the arms. Open your chest, but drop the shoulders. So there's a real tendency in this pose as a teacher, I tend to see this. We put tension into areas of the body that definitely don't need it. So soften your cheeks, your lips, your jaw, your throat, your fingertips, your shoulders. Steady breath. And then let's take that left forearm to thigh, the palm is up. Take your right arm, circle it around, and bring it up overhead. And then again, pushing down strong through the 2 feet. Back leg working just as hard as the front leg. Feel your left knee nudge a little more to the left. Your back right heel push a little deeper to the mat. And then lengthen through your front fingertips, top fingertips. Spin the right pinky finger in towards you. Deepen the breath across that front inner thigh. And one more breath. And rise to stand. All right, bring your 2 feet in just a bit. And then we'll turn the heels in more than the toes. So duck feet or ballet second position, and drop in. Try and get your knees as wide as you can apart, and get the knees stacked right over the ankles. And then you can add a little movement. And you can use your 2 hands to start nudging the knees back and lift the chest taller. So let your tailbone sink, but your chest rise. And then if you want to go deeper, you can use your elbows, your forearms to nudge the knees back. Holding steady. You should feel a really nice release across the inner thighs. If you don't, I don't know what you do for physical activity if you don't feel a stretch in this pose. Take a steady breath here. We're almost done. All right, press your 2 hands to your knees, roll up, stand up tall. All right, just give your legs a little shake. They've worked hard. Easy eagle pose. So the reason we're moving into eagles, we've done a lot of opening the hips. I want you to engage and hug everything into the inner thighs and hips for just a breath. So an easy eagle pose. Bend your knees, sit into your chair. Cross your right thigh over your left. Put more weight deep into your left heel and squeeze your inner thighs together. Maybe take the arms wide. Steady breath, hips back, chest up for 3, 2, release. Take it right to the other side into chair. Weight in the right heel, bring the left thigh over the right. Sit deep, lift your heart. Squeeze and hug the outer hips. So the outer hips are hugging in, the inner thighs are engaged, squeezing into center for 3. Maybe spreading the arms, the wings, 2. And 1, release. Inhale, arms reach tall. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, chest forward, and exhale, fold. Come all the way down to the mat. So I'm going to invite you to use the wall for one of the stretches now for Baddha Konasana. I'm going to give you 2 options because if you don't have a wall or if you're just not interested in using the wall for the pose today, it's fine. So classically, Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. The 2 soles of the feet press together, the knees drop. I'm going to get you to use gravity to help a little bit more if you're using the wall. So you would bring your hip right to the edge of the wall, swivel onto your back, and then join those 2 soles of the feet together on the wall. You'll just let gravity help drop the feet a little closer to the sit bones while we stay and chill out. So whether you're seated in this shape or reclined, like I am, and you can see my feet just want to keep nudging a little lower, a little lower. It feels so good. Breathe through your belly. Feel the weight of your sit bones. And if you're on the floor like me, feel the weight of the back ribs, the back of your skull. You can use your hands to press your knees or your elbows to press your knees a little further away from you for 3, 2, and 1. And if you're at the wall, just carefully swivel over to whichever side is easiest. Make your way back up. We're going to come onto the mat in a figure 4 shape, and this is where it might be helpful to use a block today. We're going to use it for 1 or 2 poses that are remaining to open up those hips. So as you come onto your back, bring your block with you and set the block up under your right foot, particularly your heel. So if your toes dangle off the end, it's okay, but make sure the heel is connected into the block. And bring it pretty close to your butt. And we're going to bring that left leg into a figure 4. So left ankle up, nudge your left knee away from you. And really important to flex at the ankle for that top leg so that you're protecting your knee joint. All right, so you can either stay here or you can lift up, and that changes the stretch into the outer top left hip, or you can bring the 2 legs in closer to you. So play with which one you need today. Do you need more stretch through that sit bone, through the outer left hip, and just kind of go where your body wants to go with it. So there's no real hard and fast rule about which shape makes most sense today. It's whatever you did yesterday and the day before that the body needs to release. And then we're going to come back down and change legs. So slide your left heel onto the block if you're using a block. So that block just helps deepen the stretch a little bit. It's not necessary. It's just a really nice prop if you have it. Right ankle up on top, flexing right foot and ankle, nudge that knee away from you. And I can tell you already this side needs a little bit more for me. And then again, choosing, do you want to bring the 2 legs in closer with your hands? Do you want to lift and get that different outer wrapping right hip stretch? So what do you need on this side? They may not be the same, the 2 sides. Rarely are we perfectly symmetrical. Should feel delicious. All right, we're going to bring the 2 knees into the chest and just hug your legs into you. And then a happy baby, so slide your fingertips onto your outer heels or arches. Draw the 2 knees wide around the ribs and let the knees just start to fall. So this should feel really, really good, like a little bit of ecstasy after all the stuff we've done. Steady breath. And you have options, of course. You can kick one leg to straight at a time if you want, or you can rock, or you can just hold steady in a happy baby. And then let's bring the two knees, the two legs back into center. Draw your forehead up towards your knees. Wrap your forearms tight around your shins. Give yourself a big squeeze, just compressing the front body again. And release. We're going to take a very easy spinal twist to wrap up the practice today. So just drop your two knees to the right. Drop your shoulder on your left back body underneath you. You can take your right hand if you want to deepen it and just give a little more weight to that top left leg, lengthening the thigh. Okay, let's take the two legs all the way to the other side. Same thing, super easy. Super yummy spinal twist. Top hand can help lengthen the top leg. And then carefully returning back to the center. Place your 2 feet flat with your knees wide, your feet wide, and allow yourself to just sway. Windshield wiper left to right. And then finding stillness for Shavasana. So clear your mat of any props. Of course, if you prefer a seated meditation the way we began the practice, you're welcome to move back to a seat. And I'm going to leave you to decide how long you need to stay in meditation, how long it works for you today. For allowing yourself to find that place to close your practice with that sacred time in meditation in Shavasana. To absorb the effects of the practice. To come back to a soft, natural breath. And allow yourself to sink deeper in. Taking as much time as you can allow today for this. From my heart to yours, be well.